Hello and welcome to today's episode of the Teardown Sessions. I'm your host, Helen Lee, and today I'm really excited to welcome the folks behind some of my favorite events in the past few years, the Open Hardware Summit. So I'm going to be bringing those folks on very soon to talk about their plans for 2026 in Berlin. Very excited to dig into that. But before I do that, as usual, let me take you through a couple of things that are happening at CrowdSupply at the moment. So recently launched, we've got this lovely dual screen e-reader, completely open source, and it's already hit its goal very recently actually, and still has 35 days left. Well, good for them. Anyway, that's coming out. We do also have another fun open e-reader coming up from Joey Castillo. Many of you, if you watch the stream regularly, you'll have seen him in conversation with me, and he's also around at the Open Hardware Summit as well. Also coming up, also going live now, actually, sorry, is the BentVolch PD. This is, people are pretty excited about this one. It's a USB PD power supply, open source, very powerful and capable, and a decent price point as well. So that one's popping off as well. We also have the latest edition of the Open to Face KVM. The KVM Mini went wild. Was it last year that they went live? I can't remember at these points. But anyway, they were very, very popular. People loved their products, and they've come back now with a much more compact series of devices for open source KVM goodness. Yeah, people love this. So yeah, that one's already obviously well surpassed its goal, but if you want one, you've got 12 days left to get in on the initial crowdfunding. The last one I'm going to talk about today, although we've got lots more, is the Healthy Pi 6 from Ashwin Williams, who has been a regular contributor to the Open Source Hardware Summit and has been indeed a regular creator for us as well. So he's just launched the latest edition of his biosignal devices, and you may remember he had a watch, and he's done some other things as well. But yeah, this is his latest device. It's just launched, so if you're interested in open source biosignal acquisition, this is the campaign for you. I definitely don't have time to go over all of the devices on CrowdSupply today, so here's a little peek at things that are crowdfunding now, and check those out at your leisure. I want to move on without further ado to our guests today. Here we have the Open Hardware Summit page, and here we have Lee and Sid from the Open Hardware Summit / Open Source Hardware Association. Both of you are going to need to unmute.
Hello.
Wonderful. Hello. Thank you so much for joining us today. Would you like to introduce yourself and say a couple of words about why you're here today?
Sure, I can get started. My name's Lee. I'm the chair of the Open Hardware Summit. So I'm kind of responsible for like overseeing the summit and like the general kind of direction wrangling all of the humans into one place for this event. And also I am an artist and maker. So I make all kinds of open source hardware and electronics and weird things that move and beep.
That's a very succinct description of your work earlier. I'm a fan. Yeah. Sid, do you wanna go next?
Totally. I'm Sid. I work as the community coordinator for the Open Hardware Summit, as well as the Summit Fellowship Chair. So I try and make sure that we can bring lots of cool new folks to the summit and get them involved in the community in new ways and make sure that everyone is having a good, fun time.
Thank you for that. Now, I know we're going to go, well, I'd like to go into more detail about some of the other things that the Open Source Hardware Association does. But before we go into any of that, let's just dive straight into talking about the summit. Now, as I said at the open of the stream, the summit has been consistently one of my most enjoyable events on the calendar, and I do generally go to quite a few. And something that's interesting about it, unusual I should say about it, is you have a rotating geographical location. You haven't been in the same location twice for a long time. So could you tell us a bit about what the 2026 edition is going to be like, where it's going to be, when it's going to be, and why you've chosen that location this year?
Yeah, for sure. So the summit in 2026 is going to be in Berlin at TU Berlin, May 23rd and 24th. So one thing to note is usually the summit is a Friday and a Saturday, but this year is going to be a Saturday and a Sunday. So
I hadn't actually clocked that.
I know. Every year we mess it up, or someone messes it up and forgets what days are where. But yeah, Friday. No more Friday, Saturday this year. Saturday, Sunday.
No Friday.
So good to know.
Okay, very good to know.
Yeah. So we're super excited to be in Berlin this year. We've been trying to. So before me and Sid kind of got on board with the summit, it was often in New York or it was in the United States, and we are Canadian. And we just wanted to try to find a couple of like ways to maybe make things a little bit less US centric and kind of like expand to other parts in the world. So we have been trying our best to move to different places in the world as it kind of makes sense. So usually what we do is before the summit every year, so this was probably about 6 months ago, we start to reach out to people or have people reach out to us of like cool places in the world where we could host, usually where someone has some connections to some kind of like larger institution or something like that. And we just try to like be different places in the world, which is always a fun new logistical challenge. But it keeps things kind of fresh for us. So that's great.
I bet it does. I'm in the middle of wrangling venue stuff for my own conference at the moment, and I do not envy changing venues every single year. Changing countries, indeed. I mean, it's brave, and I enjoy it as somebody who goes.
I mean, as long as you don't talk to me too much right now about taxes in Germany, we're all good. Right now, I'm up to here with reading
German taxes are... I think our biggest fear is getting in trouble with the country of Germany.
Yes.
At any
point. That.
We do not want to upset the country of Germany, but we do really want to hang out there.
Yeah. Berlin's amazing for hardware. Before I don't know if you guys know this, but I lived in Berlin before I moved to Portland to work for crowdfunding.
Nice.
I was there for like 2.5 years. And it's great for hardware, really great open source community as well. Lots and lots of hacker spaces. I'm hoping, I'll make sure I organize some fun nerd trips around the Open Hardware Summit. We should talk about that.
I mean, actually, one of our favorite things about getting to do the summit is actually the fact that for the last 3 or 4 years, we've been able to collaborate with Crowd Supply and with you and have the hardware happy hour before the actual event. It's always such a fun time.
It is, yeah. And I do that because someone does that for me at Teardown, and I am always so grateful for my friend. It's the day before a big event, and I don't want to be thinking about managing a bar visit or whatever. My friend does it for me in advance of my conference, and I'm so grateful for it. I do it for other people. It's one of those things that's like easy when you know how. But
I mean, for me, the hardware happy hour always is what makes the summit feel real. Like whenever we show up to hardware happy hour before the event, I'm like, oh my god, the people are.
Oh, it's happening. Is it?
They are in town. Happening. They did get here. There wasn't some kind of massive blackout where every plane and every train in the world could not move.
Yeah. Look, the nerds are emerging. Hooray.
Plus, it's fun to wonderful. See people. A lot of folks like to bring their projects, and it's like really fun to see little
exactly
doing before they're like.
No, I love that aspect of it, and it's the same because I run a semi-regular hardware happy hour in Portland. I do them in various places when I go visit, but the one in Portland again has the same vibe. People bring stuff and. It's like, real life Twitter when
before it went like evil.
Exactly. In the good old days. I say that. It's a joke. But yeah, so you're doing it in Berlin this year. It's going to be in May. Berlin in May is absolutely lovely. It's going to be at the TU. That's the Technical University of Berlin. And it's quite a centralized campus, is it? Or
Yeah,
Do you know?
honestly, I have looked at so many floor plans of this space that I could really tell you all about what it looks like as a floor plan, but I have never been there. So what
Very
I
cool.
hear
Well,
is that
yeah.
it's somewhat centrally located, that it's easy to access through public transit, and that that it's near all kinds of cool stuff. That's what I hear.
Yeah, well, I'm excited. I mean, anywhere in Berlin is near lots of cool stuff. So one thing, so the reason why I wanted to get you on now as opposed to closer to the conference is because your call for proposals is closing soon. Is that not correct?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
Sunday, December the 21st, if you want to attend, obviously you can buy a ticket, and you have a wonderful online presence as well during your conference. But if you actually want to attend, you can buy a ticket, or you can participate, which will give you a ticket as well, I believe. So there's all sorts of really interesting ways in which you can participate, the typical walks and talks and workshops, but also there are often performances, there's also art, there's also demo tables and exhibits. So there's a number of ways in which you can contribute to the Open Hardware Conference. And I will say, like, a lot of people who attend this conference are people who actively make things, which is nice. It gives it a different vibe. So yeah, the talks are quite short. They're 20 minutes. You've got the lightning talks, you've got an opportunity for some async talks. Here's some suggestions on that CFP, and you can find that CFP on this 2026.oshwa.org, and there's links to the CFP, and also just right here, submit your proposal. And also there is a list of other ways in which they're looking for people to get involved. Do you want to talk a little bit more about this? So aside from soliciting your proposals, in what other ways are you looking for other people to get involved?
Well, I could talk a little bit, maybe I'll talk a little bit about the CFP, and then Sid can talk a little bit about the fellowship, because those are kind of our two big things. The CFP, we are really, the call for proposals, we are really looking for a wide array of things. So if you're an experienced person who's made tons of open source hardware, and maybe you have an update on a project that you have talked about before, we're totally happy to receive that. If you're first time getting into things and you have some experiences that you want to share, awesome, bring it on. One thing, it can get quite competitive because we do try to jam pack as many things into the schedule as possible, but we do also have a lot of proposals, which is amazing. So my advice for anyone trying to submit something is to not be too general. So be really specific, lean into whatever weird thing you're working on and whatever you're passionate about and excited about that sets you apart, and try to be really clear. So you can assume that people on the panel, so we have a panel of people who help review, people on the panel are going to be somewhat technical, but they're probably not going to know your specific thing. So maybe get someone else to read your proposal, try to be really specific. And if you're worried, maybe this is a better workshop, or maybe it's a better exhibition, or maybe it's better something else, we'll try our best to fit you in where we can. Me and Sid and Alicia do a totally wild amount of Tetrising to get as many things in here as possible. So we're really on your team, but there are a lot of submissions. Last year we had 180 submissions, and there's only about 20 talk slots. So
wow.
Just
so you know, Lee, while you've been talking, I've been scrolling through the list of talks from Friday the May 30th in your Edinburgh conference. So just so people can get an idea of some of the variety of talks that were accepted last year, talking about hacking knitting machines, open source hardware, moth conservation, fair batteries, KiCad libraries, factory test systems, CubeSats, Braille printers. There's all sorts of really interesting types. It's not just one kind of hardware or one domain of expertise. It is really quite varied, I think.
Yeah, and we're actively looking for different stuff. Sorry, Sid, go.
No, I think that's just a really important thing that we constantly say, like for OSHWA, hardware is anything made of atoms rather than bits. So it literally just has to be physical matter, and that means it can be so varied. Like we've had folks talk about open source perfumes. We've had folks talk about biofiber spinning. We've talked about e-textiles. Like we will literally, anything that is physical matter is hardware to us. So that can look really open, and that means a lot of things can be included in what you're thinking about as your talk or exhibition or workshop. But it also applies to the certification program as well, where you can really expand on what you might think of as hardware. Like we love dev boards. We love them. Okay. But like,
of course,
it doesn't just have to be a dev board. You can do so many things with hardware.
Absolutely. Well, I have an open source hardware association certified spork.
Oh yeah, yeah, exactly.
And that's great.
Somewhere on my shelves. I believe SparkFun made it and registered it as a back in the day. I've got it on my shelf somewhere. And
it's just it's a really great way to like really expand on what you might think could be hardware. And like the way we like to have the summit set up is that people can really show off all kinds of things in so many different areas and ranges. Like we get synths, we get dev boards, we get really interesting e-textile explorations, and
for sure.
I mean, last year we had the Open Flap had a table, which is like
that was so cool.
It was so fun to play with. Everyone loved playing with
I've got such a soft spot for those kinds of displays, I tell you. Such a soft spot. I'm just waiting for that to hit the market.
And we're also like you have up here, like getting involved. Like we're also looking for people. Like we are not. I mean, luckily we do have you, Helen, to like help guide us once again. Like you helped us in Edinburgh too, but you know, you're always here to help shepherd us through.
Oh, bless you.
Through everywhere across the pond. But we're not from these places, so we don't know what's cool or interesting. We do our best to reach out to different maker spaces and creative spaces, but like no one knows things like locals. So if you are like local to Berlin, or like you just maybe you hang out at Berlin a lot, or maybe like you used to live in Berlin, whatever it is, if you have like things to help us, like one thing we look for is local folks who don't mind hosting somebody, and that really helps people attend the summit. One of the biggest things is
how do you organize that? Do you do it on a Signal chat or?
I have a big spreadsheet.
A massive spreadsheet. A lot of this is run through big spreadsheets.
Love a spreadsheet.
Who doesn't love a spreadsheet?
Yeah, exactly.
But that really like helps eliminate like a major cost. Like the hotel industry is out of control. So when folks are willing to open their space, it really helps so much.
Although I will say that having gone to Edinburgh and gone to Berlin in the same year, so last year I paid a lot for my hotel to go to the Open Hardware Summit, and you can get a hotel in Berlin for €100 instead of like, €250 minimum.
We're not going to lie, we did not quite understand Edinburgh.
Well, it was half term as well.
It was also apparently y'all are.
It was the school holidays. Yeah.
By y'all, I mean Europe general is super into musicians. Robbie, what's his name again? He's like actually like a big deal. But there was a big concert in town the same weekend as us, and I think that really messed with their hotel prices.
Yeah, we had no idea.
And also it was the school holidays.
Yeah.
It's the UK school holidays, so
what are you going to do?
Anyway, Berlin is definitely cheaper to stay in, like significantly cheaper. And the public transit is great as well.
But we do also have the fellowship, the Summit Fellowship.
Yes, actually, let's cross over to this because that's a really good point. So we talked about this. Here we are, this fellowship. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so every year we take on 10 fellows for the summit, and generally what we do with this is we provide some financial support to be able to help get them to the actually to the summit, and then on top of that we try and provide a lot of mentorship leading up to the summit. So that is a lot of virtual mentor talks where we have different folks in the industry come in and talk to folks about how they got into open source hardware, why it's important to them, what they're working on, how they keep working on it, and like just really helping, again, just expand people's knowledge of what hardware can be. And it is a really fun experience because a lot of these folks end up pitching talks or workshops or coming back or collaborating with each other and coming up with projects together. And you get to see a lot of really neat growth from when they start the fellowship to when they end the fellowship and then the years beyond. Like I started running the fellowship in 2021, and folks who are in my first cohort are still actively in the community, doing their best to attend the events and get involved and making stuff. And it's just a really great way to, you know, if you, A, need a little assistance to get there, and then B, want to have some folks that you already know, if it's like your first time coming to the summit, this is a great way to have some folks that are there that you know, that you've spent some time getting to know, and can have like your little cohort while you're there so you feel a little bit more comfortable. And then it's just a really fun way to deep dive on open hardware in so many different ways.
And Sid does such a good job of like even like leading up to the summit. Like I guess the applications to the fellowship like close in like this week or next week, but between now and the summit, like they organize so many different like talks online, and just like is kind of a really sweet fast track way to like get your foot in the door in the community and like meet people that it's like kind of hard to meet otherwise. So that like it's super cool.
Yeah, that's really cool. So the applications for that close also on Sunday.
I'm
as
trying to
well
keep
as
it simple. Same
that makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, absolutely. So the CFP closes, fellowship closes. And when do ticket sales open? Are they open already?
This is a super good question, and it has a lot to do with German taxes. So we're still working that out, but like I know everyone's really super excited to start buying tickets, and we are working on it so hard. I'm working on it so hard. And our goal is the first couple of weeks of January, our tickets will drop. I know usually we have our tickets really, really early. We usually start selling our tickets in like October for Open Hardware Month is usually when we'll put out our early bird tickets.
Yeah, of course.
I do promise that the tickets are coming.
Yeah.
Again, we really do not want to get in trouble with the country of Germany.
Exactly. You don't want to get kicked out.
Yeah.
Okay, so we can't yet purchase this, but we've got the tech. Oh yes, let's talk a little bit about the virtual summit. So you guys do like a really awesome job of your online participation, which I think it's not easy to do. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do online during the conference? Because I think not a lot of other conference organizers do the kind of things that you do. I think it might be quite interesting. Plus also the people at home who can't make it to Berlin.
So we always have our Discord server running, and within that we get it set up so that each talk and workshop has their own section so that people can really dive in on the topic if they want to online. And then we also find that it's a really nice way to be able to make sure that folks who are watching online can still get some questions in with the presenters, because I mean, folks who are there in person, they do have a bit of an advantage, obviously, of being able to hunt down people in the crowd. But when you're attending online, you can end up not having the chance to really connect with people. So we try to make sure that there's still space for that and that there's still time to be able to get in contact. And then we also stream the talks live, so they're all available as they're happening. And then that way you get to like kind of experience the excitement at the same time and still be involved. And then afterwards, our incredible board member, Michael Weinberg, cuts them all up and gets them available on our YouTube in chunks, nice and quick. I think last year he got it done before Sunday was even over. I don't know.
Oh my goodness.
It was really wild.
Incredible.
I had a bit of a nightmare this year, but let's not go into that.
Yeah, I mean, not everyone can have a Michael, but boy, howdy do we love him.
Not everybody can have a Michael, let's put it that way, yeah.
We will not let him leave the board. It is not allowed.
No,
I need
exactly.
him to chop up these videos.
And he always has really interesting replies to questions as well.
It's really true.
I've read lots of interesting articles by Michael.
He's very helpful in so many ways.
Yeah.
Extremely useful.
For real.
Yeah, we have kind of gone back and forth over the years on like different amounts of and types of engagement. Like we have our like Discord, like always like open for the Q&As after, and like sometimes people will come back like weeks or months later and like revisit these old topics or revisit these like links that are in the Discord. Last or 2 years ago, we tried this really weird thing where we would do an unconference online at a 12-hour difference. So that way we could have people on the other side of the world participate in a virtual unconference. And it did not work. So we're not going to do that again. But we do try different things.
That's too complicated. But we're always willing to try new things. Like I think that's one of the things that we really enjoy is that we get to really experiment with what makes sense and how we can get people engaged. So
yeah,
it's fun.
Now, there's one more way in which people can engage. So we've talked about every other way, but we have not covered sponsorship. So what's the deal with that this year? We're going to be sponsors as usual. Do you want to tell others about what's going on? You're the only conference I think you are the only conference we properly sponsor, by the way.
Oh, that's so nice. It's so nice. Yeah. So every year we have like, I would say like pretty sweet swag bags. There have been a couple of years that the swag bags at the summit have been more valuable than the ticket price of the summit, just because of like the amazing support of a whole bunch of different open source companies giving hardware, giving gift certificates, giving all kinds of different things. So you get to have an item in our swag bag, which goes out to like people who we know are actively making and doing things. So that's really, really awesome. We have varying levels of sponsorship that go all the way down to $500, which is like a community sponsorship, just to be able to put something in the bag, get your name on the website. And then we also have higher ticket sponsors, like, for example, the lanyard sponsor, or various other levels that kind of let you be a little more front and center. So the summit is the primary way that the Open Source Hardware Association makes our money to operate year round. So all of the things that we do that we'll talk about in a minute only happen because of the summit. So we are a super small team. The entire team is actually me and Sid and Alicia, and we right now have a grant to have a couple of postdocs. But in general, it's a super, super small team, and we do everything. So your sponsorship money, like, it means a lot. And also your stuff gets out to people who are super actively engaged in the community.
Yeah, definitely. It is a really interesting group of people who go to this, and lots of people who actually make hardware. Definitely. There's some really interesting, really, really good crowd. So you are getting in front of some really interesting people. Speaking of sponsorship, I do want to give a quick shout out to the sponsor of the Teardown stream, which is the Corvo. Thank you very much, Corvo. We run a Corvo RF accelerator at Crowd Supply. So if you are working on a device that uses Corvo parts, and you're looking to do a crowdfunding campaign, we can give you some money off and a bunch more support. So I just wanted to let you all know about that. And again, thank you for sponsoring our stream. All right, thank you. All right, so I think we've talked. Is there anything else you'd like to share about the Open Hardware Summit? Because I'd like to, at some point, move on to talking about the Open Hardware Association in general.
I think the only last thing I want to say about it is, first of all, we're super, super excited, and we love Berlin, and everything's going to be great. But also, if you are a first-time speaker and maybe you're feeling a little bit nervous about something, I know there's not a lot of time left before our CFP wraps up. There may or may not be extension, but no promises. But we do offer mentorship, even if you're not a fellow, just to like, we're happy to go over your slides with you. We're happy to do whatever we can to help you. And if you feel like you're at the fringes of open hardware and you're like, I don't know, I'm only making this weird loom or whatever it is, we want, especially if you're making a weird loom,
weird looms.
Bring it on. But we really want to see all of your unique ideas. So if you feel you're on the periphery of the community, if you feel like you're new, like please reach out to us.
Yeah,
we love
and I will say it's a very accepting community. Like, people, it's fine if you've never given a talk before. You know, people want you to do well. You know, it's not it's not one of the more daunting conferences to apply for and speak at. You know, people aren't looking down their nose at you if you got your slides mixed up. So it's a very supportive community. So if you are thinking about it and you're nervous, just do it anyway. Why not?
Yes.
Oh, look, here we are. We got a reply from someone called Mike Coates.social. Hi, Mike. Thanks for joining us. He says, I was a first-time speaker at Edinburgh, and it was a great supportive experience. It's really awesome to hear. Yeah, it's really important. And I think a lot of conferences get that wrong. They're too intimidating and like unintentionally gatekeeping in a way that they, might not want to do.
Yeah, we love to have first-time speakers because it's always so interesting too, because a lot of times first-time speakers are coming at it from a completely different angle than folks who've been in the industry for a long time. And that's the whole point of the summit, is getting to hear about these really unique new ways of approaching hardware.
It's true. Although I will confess, when I go to most conferences, I hardly watch the talks at all. I just stand around talking to people and looking at their projects.
Hallway Con.
Hallway Con.
We love Hallway Con.
Yeah, exactly. Hallway Con is best con. So we'll come back to this right at the end again to give a final shout out to we'll talk about this about OSHWA again, but I'd like to draw everybody's attention to, so the Open Hardware Summit is run by the Open Source Hardware Association, and they don't just do the Open Hardware Summit, although it's one of the ways in which a lot of people do interface with them. In my job, I thought of the summit, the most usual way I'm working with OSHWA is through their certification process. So at Cred Supply, when I'm not doing live streams, which rarely, I run the new projects process, and as part of that, we talk to them about open source, right? And then so we're often telling people about both the OSHWA certification and the CERN Open Hardware license, both of which are very popular. And I wondered if you might tell us a little bit about that and why it's useful for people who are creating projects.
Yeah, of course. So there's actually a lot of things that I think are really cool about the certification process, but number one is we made this with a lot of consultation with the community, because there is a habit for some companies to claim something as open hardware, but not actually release the full source. And if the full source isn't available, then it's not open hardware. But the thing about the gear logo is that it is itself open source, so you can technically put it on anything and no one can stop you. So we ended up doing a lot of consultation and trying to figure out a way that we can really know for sure that something is open source and not just using the Open Gear logo, because I mean, maybe they don't even know and they just think it's a cool logo, because it is a cool logo. But
it is a cool logo. Like, it must be better.
But this way,
with its own drama around it as well. Yeah, I mean, the gear one. Yeah, let's not go into that. That was there.
We don't need to.
Drama from a while ago.
With the certification process, it's really, really simple. You fill out a form. It, on average, takes like 5 to 10 minutes. And the thing that is usually the part that takes the longest for people is deciding what name to give their project, because they're always really stressed about that. But you fill out the form, you submit it to us, we look through it, and literally all we're looking for is making sure that the source is there, people can access it, and all the information they need to have to be able to replicate that device or project exists in a place that anyone can access it. And at that point, we send you back, nice work. You get your unique ID number, which is a country code followed by some digits. And a lot of people like to put that on their projects as well, so that it's like fully, that it's fully open source. And then you create a really beautiful, massive database of projects from all around the world.
Yeah, and that database has actually been useful to me in a number of occasions when I've seen something and I want to check what license it is. So I can just, something that's Open Source Hardware Association certified, I know that there's a page that's got exactly what license it is and links to the source files. You know, it's just a useful place. Like I went, I think it was Beagleboards related something, and I couldn't find it anywhere on GitHub, but lo and behold, there it was on the Open Source Hardware database, you know, the exact details of the license. So I do find it useful for that. Yeah,
and it's really useful if you're, let's say you're building a piece of hardware and you want to include a specific dev board, you want to include like something, and it, like Sid was saying, like maybe it has the Gear logo on it and you're like, sweet, this is open source. You put it in your product and then like later you find out that it wasn't open source, or like you know, maybe you're like missing a file, or maybe you're violating a license agreement, or maybe you're doing something that like you don't know. So if you take something that like you know for sure meets the requirements of being open hardware, which means that you should be able to reproduce it, you know, like also in whatever iteration or form that you want. You should be able to iterate on it. You should be able to like remake it. You know that you're getting something that meets these requirements, and you're not going to accidentally step on someone's toes. You're not going to accidentally get in trouble. You know that like downstream, all of your stuff is open. So the process is super easy, but it really like helps foster the open source ecosystem in a lot of different ways.
It's also a really good, so obviously we don't love it when things have to come to a legal precedent, but it can be used for legal precedent where, you know, if you have something that is certified in the database, you can point to that and be like, yes, this is open source. It is supposed to be open source. It has been in this database since whatever date. And if someone has taken that and tried to close it, you have something to reference back and be like, no, it has been in this like official space for so-and-so amount of time, and you can't just close it.
And I feel like people get also like, people get really hung up on like the like sorry, I'm so sorry. I'm on a delay, I think. People get really hung up on like the process of like oh, like certification is going to take so long. We have to figure out this and that and this. But like if you have already been documenting your stuff and you have like a GitHub repository with like your steps on it, maybe you made like a Hackster page, maybe you already have this stuff, you know? So if you have your documentation, it's like literally like just clicking through, it could take you like minutes.
Literally just put your GitHub repo links in there, you know, jobs are good. And it's not a long form. It's not complicated as long as you're already, you know, your stuff's up already, right? You know? But yeah, it's a nice shorthand, I think, for people to understand that something like what is included in the open source, because people have had many definitions and many interpretations of open source hardware, as you well know. So it's nice to have a bit of it's good to have a bit of clarity for the people who choose to go down that road.
And I think one thing that's like kind of I feel like this is something me and Sid have talked about a million times is we, as you know, we hope that all hardware is open, and we hope that everyone can like certify everything and blah blah blah. But there are reasons that people are at different points in their journey with open hardware, and we are also here to support you in like figuring out like what is stopping you, like what are your concerns, like how can we help like address that, like what are the consequences of having open source hardware, and like how can we like for the greater good of sharing how we make and build things and like ultimately making a better world, like how can we help you get there? So we don't want people to feel like shy or feel like scared or feel worried about like any hesitations you have about open source hardware. If you want to chat about it, if you want to figure out like how the best way to move forward is, like we're always here to do that.
Yeah, definitely.
You mentioned earlier a little something that I'd like to put on a bit. You said that it can be used to settle disputes. Is that something that has happened?
It does. Yeah, there's
between like there's the instance that you mentioned, someone closing something that was originally open, but the other one I was thinking about was patent trolling, and I was wondering if that also gives any, because I know there's been issues with that. I've read a lot of Michael's articles on the subject. I was wondering, like, if you could give us some examples of times where, like, this has actually been called and, you know, been used in a dispute.
Yeah, actually, one of the ones that I have been referenced a lot recently is there was it was an academic situation actually. So there was an academic journal so there was an article released by this original group that was open hardware process that they had developed and created and released and certified, and it was all out there. And then because it is a kind of a niche area, these academics were still frequently checking newer articles that were talking about this subject and seeing what was out there. And one day they came across an article that had their exact diagrams and schematics. And they were like, well, that's not, but it was on top of having their exact schematics, it was in a closed down academic journal that you couldn't access unless you had certain. So what ended up happening in this case actually is the original creators got in contact with the journal itself, the journal editors, and discussed with them what the best solution would be. And they didn't even talk to the other folks who had done this because they're like, well, we don't know what they know, what their situation is. Maybe they're unaware of how this works, etc. So they're like, we don't really know their perception. This is more of a journal issue. The journal has closed down something that we have as open source. So in the long run, after about a year of back and forth, because journal articles and academic journals, finally decided that the way that they were going to deal with this was that there was going to be a fully accessible front-facing, like when you open the article, the first thing you get is this big paragraph explaining all the open source components, how they all work, where they're linking back to the original article and the certification, and being really clear about what is a part of that. And then from there, and that section is fully open and stays accessible on this. You don't have to log in to see this. This is like fully always there. So that's just like
interesting.
That people have been able to kind of like, even though technically this journal only exists in a way where you have to have access through an academic email or paying for access, the actual hardware portion of this article has to remain completely open. And so that's a really interesting way that they were able to like work through it. And again, like there's no like big threat of like law involved in this. It wasn't really a legal dispute so much as an intellectual dispute with the academic journal, but it still resulted in like ultimately it's available for people to have access to, and it still is accessible even if it is a journal that if you want to read the rest of the article that they wrote with this hardware as the basis, you do still have to sign in, but you still have access to what the hardware is, how it works, and where it originally came from so that you can still get that access.
That's interesting. Very cool. Well, thank you. Very interesting. So we've spoken about the summit. We've spoken about open hardware certification. Is there anything else that the Open Source Hardware Association does in the calendar? You mentioned Open Hardware Month earlier in the year. Are there any other things that we should be looking out from you over the course of the year?
Yes. So one thing is we are expanding to our Open Hardware Creators in Academia program to now do a student fellowship. We're running the first edition of it right now, and we're hoping to keep running it. So this is a way that, although there isn't a financial attachment to this does still get you a lot of access to mentorship and folks who are actively working in open hardware and can help support you towards an end goal of a project, as well as just like getting to learn a lot about how hardware can look. So that's a really fun venture we're doing. And then we do always have Open Hardware Month, which is October. So during October, we try and get people to certify their projects. October is usually when we get the highest amount of certifications. And then B, we try and find fun ways to engage with people and get them interested in hardware. So one of the ways we've been doing that for the last couple of years is doing a long live stream where we have a bunch of different folks from around the world come on and talk about their projects. And again, a lot of it is just making sure that people are knowing what's out there. Because like, although the certification database is really great to scroll through, sometimes we want to know those like nitty-gritty details about how someone's come up with a project or how they got to a certain point. And so we try and make that happen by doing these live streams. And then we also have our monthly live stream where every month we talk to three usually new creators, sometimes it's repeat creators who have made something really cool that recently got certified. So we just today, actually, we hit 1 full year of monthly show and tells. So if you're ever just like, what's going on? What have people been making? There's a whole year's worth of live streams you can watch and see what people have been making over the last year.
And where do you host those? Is that on your YouTube channel?
It's all on YouTube.
While I'm talking about where people can find you, where can people find you? Are you on what are your major platforms, basically? I see you've got the Hackster, you've got LinkedIn, you've got Mastodon, you've got Blue Sky, and then you've got the Twitter app.
Which is interesting because we don't anymore. We did actually wind down our Twitter. It's gone now.
You did.
Okay. Well, it's still the archive of it exists, but we don't post to it anymore. But yeah, we do actively use Mastodon, LinkedIn, Hackster, and then YouTube is where all of our
and Instagram.
We have Instagram. Yes,
Instagram. You should switch out your Twitter.
Yeah, I need to switch that out. It looks like I'm having a little website update today.
Another major program that we have the past 2 years has been a grant for exploring healthware, open source healthware. So that's anything to do with like healthcare in general and hardware. So
is it this one?
Yeah.
That's
open
academia.
Hardware creates academia. Sorry. Yeah, no.
That was what you were talking about earlier.
Healthware.
I think our healthware. We're developing the healthware website right now.
Yeah, we don't have a healthware website.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, never mind.
But we also have so we have our Open Hardware Summit, which is like kind of general. Sometimes we do have people who are doing things in the healthcare space, but in July we have our Open Healthware, which is like specific about people working like with open hardware in like clinical or health or body kind of related settings. So that program involves a few other initiatives, including workshops and community consultations. And ultimately what we're trying to do is develop kind of guidelines and suggestions for ways that people can work with open source hardware in these health contexts where there's additional certifications, there's additional like safety concerns and all kinds of things. So we are not doctors or medical personnel. So we don't always have those answers. So what we're trying to do is figure out ways that people can safely create hardware that can be used in these settings. And what are the things that have to be certified in order to like successfully create those kinds of projects. So yeah, unfortunately, there's not a lot on our website, but our call for proposals for the healthware conference is going to come out in the next couple months. And I think we just locked down our location. So we're probably going to be in the Bay Area in July for this conference.
Nice. Also, the Open Source Hardware Association page has all sorts of interesting resources, including definitions, best practices, logo, code of conduct, all of these kinds of things. So I will say that is useful as well.
Yeah, the open hardware definition is like super, super useful if you want to just like just as like a guide for like how we define open source hardware and like kind of the tenets that we use to like make those assessments. So which are in some ways like obviously drawing on traditional like open source software ideas, but like things that are specific to like making physical stuff, right? We have like different things that we have to consider. So super useful in terms of all the resources are great, but I feel like that one is the one that I point to most often to try to understand like what is like the defining features of open hardware.
Yeah, that's very cool. Okay, well, we've got about 10 minutes left in the stream, and I'd like to go back to the Open Hardware Summit for a few minutes, because that is the reason we are speaking. So we know, as we said at the beginning, if you joined us later on, the call for proposals, call for talks, workshops, etc., is open now and will close this Sunday. There is also a fellowship and if you want to apply for that, that will also close this Sunday. So do take a look at that. So around the conference, you often do last year we did something really fun, which you did like a talent show kind of / open mic situation.
Open.
And I was wondering if you might
mic.
take. Yeah, I was going to say, like, are you planning anything fun this year along those same kind of lines? Any extracurricular activities you may want to tease?
I deeply encourage folks to maybe have a thing that makes a weird noise, or fun to look at, or perhaps you figured out how to open source. I guess charades is already open source. I don't know. If you have like something that is perhaps performance based in some way, keep that in mind. We will be doing open source open mic again. It was such a blast. We had so much fun with it. So keep
that's so fun.
Those ideas coming.
I want you to come to Teardown and run open source open mic as a pre-event. That would be so fun. I've got a venue for you. It would involve one of you coming to Portland.
But
I was hoping. For those of you who saw this on social media, I was hoping to make an announcement about my conference, Teardown, this year. And I do have dates for it, and I do have a location for it, but I cannot share anything until the contract is signed. So at this point, we are going to be looking at releasing tickets and the CFP the first week of January when everybody's back, because at this point, there's no point doing it now as everybody goes off for the Christmas holidays. So, but we have announcements coming soon, and we will be announcing the Teardown dates and venue. It will be summer Portland as usual, but we'll be pushing it back slightly to the end of July instead of June. But yes, unfortunately, can't share much more than that. But please do keep an eye on our social. For the first week of January, we will have a very limited run of early bird tickets as well. So either subscribe to our newsletter or keep an eye on us on social on the first week of Jan, and all will be revealed. Yes, very exciting. So do you want to tell me a little bit? Have you got anything else you would like to share about the Open Hardware Summit, extracurricular activities or requests? Or
the one thing I want to share is if you just go back to our homepage, I just want to talk about our awesome graphics for this year. Every year we try to work with an artist who who's just making cool stuff. This year we're working with we're working with Bleep Track. They made this amazing pattern. It is
I love it. I love Bleep Track's work.
And it's generative. So we're working on some really, really cool swag with this pattern, and it's just really beautiful. And I'm just super excited about it.
Oh, I'm so excited. Bleep Track is so perfect for the Open Hardware Summit as well. So I know Bleep Track from Germany, but also Bleep Track did a bunch of the graphics for Congress, the German hacker. They did these really cool generative, animated graphics for the Congress one year. I forget which one. And they always have really cool generative stickers that they bring with them as well, and all sorts of things. So Bleep Track is one of my favorite hacker artists, and I'm very excited to hear that they've been doing your merch. Can't wait.
So good. It's so good.
You were actually one of our fellows last year too, so we're really excited.
Oh,
to get
really?
to working
Oh,
with them.
nice.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Oh, yeah. Awesome. That's great to hear. And I'm assuming that they'll be there.
I sure hope so.
One can hope.
I really hope so.
One can hope.
I also assume that they'll be there, but I have not.
I decided to assume this.
I'll be there. I'm definitely coming. And I'll bring at least one of my colleagues with me, hopefully two, so I don't have to do everything on myself. But yeah, it would be really great fun. So I wanted to, so we've got this hardware summit. We know that the tickets are not on sale yet, but they will be maybe in January after you've sorted out your tax situation in Germany. People can follow you on. We showed before on the Open Hardware. You've got all of these options for contacting and following. about, right, where is it? Oh no, here we go. So you've got all these things here. I wanted to also to just quickly call out the personal websites of both of my guests on stream today, because as well as their amazing work at the Open Hardware Summit and the Open Hardware Association, both of my guests are interesting people working in this space on their own right. So if you would like to know more about the personal work of either of my guests on this stream, both of them create really interesting hardware related art. So take a look there. We'll put those links in the show notes as well. So yes. Did either of you want to say anything about that? Either of you wanted to say anything about something that you're looking for in your own work or the wider Open Hardware Association?
I made my first SAO.
Oh yeah.
And I'm going to have it at the summit next year. I learned how to use KiCad with the generous help of Paul Hamilton, and I'm going to have it at the summit.
I'm so excited.
How adorable. I love it. I love it. And is there Comic Sans on it?
There is not.
Oh my God.
I went with a different font.
Yeah, I think that was actually, if I remember correctly, so the FAO standard has changed over the years, but I think initially, like, it was suggested that you use Comic Sans.
I can see that being the case. I went with a fun old computer font.
Oh, nice. I like an old computer font. That's really awesome.
Speaking of PCBs, though, we are looking for someone to design the badge for this year. So if anyone listening would like to, it'd be working with Bleep Track's artwork and working with our badge sponsor and working with us to design something cool. If anyone who has some KiCad skills and wants to take that on, just send us an email, summit@oshwa.org. Just toss us an email.
Nice. You've had some really interesting badges over the years. So, do you want to describe a couple of them just so people know that it's not just necessarily the ordinary?
Yeah. Maybe Sid can pick some up right now, but we had a textile badge. We had like a really big, our chunky from the year we were in Montreal, 2024.
Oh yeah, that one. Yeah, the textile one. What is it by? Did you get Rodney Trusty to do that last year?
Yeah, this one. This was New York.
Yeah, mine are in a box somewhere, I think.
Yeah,
I'm gonna spotlight you if you got them all. Here we are.
And then so I've got these two, and then my textile one is actually in the other room. But mine one's all tidied up as well somewhere. Okay, yeah, very cool. Thank you. Yes, it's not just your regular badges.
You can see Sid's PCB, pretty cool bandana right behind them, right there. Oh, so we have all kinds of cool swag.
Right. I've got one of those as well. Actually, your PCB, your printed PCB.
It's so fun.
That's funny. I do enjoy a pun. I like your PCB.
You're pretty into puns.
Who isn't? Well, anyway, we are somehow at the top of the hour. So I'd like to say thank you so much to both of my guests today for joining us on stream to talk about the Open Hardware Summit. Don't forget, if you have something that you'd like to share with the Open Summit, the applications need to go in by the end of day on Sunday, so get those in quickly. Ticket sales will go live in January, hopefully. Keep an eye on their various social medias to learn more. Their Discord is always popping off, so definitely join the Discord from the link as well. And then if you don't attend, you'll be able to join in with all the Hardware Summit fun on that Discord as well. So definitely check that out. Any closing comments from either of you?
Oh, just thank you so much for having us on the stream, Helen.
Anytime.
It's always really fun to check in and see what you're up to.
What am I up to?
Yeah, we love to know that you're still... Yeah, it's always so fun getting to see that things are happening.
Oh, yeah.
Hopefully this is the teardown.
Yeah. I've even been working on some projects, you know. I'm just not putting them on the internet.
Everyone knows what's up.
Comment, hack the planet, absolutely, always. Yeah, and thank you to everybody at home who joined us as well, and the people who are watching this after the stream as well. We're grateful for your company, and thank you for listening to us talk for the last hour. Thanks everybody. Have an amazing. This is my last stream before the holidays, hence the red top. So happy holidays for those of you who celebrate some kind of holiday at this time of the year. I will see you in January, hopefully with a launched CFP, and I will see both of you in Berlin, if not before. So indeed, as Chipadoodle says, the planet, indeed. And goodbye, everybody. See you later.